Hello guys, today I am going to discuss about the topic equivalence partitioning. Those who are going to watch for the first time, please like, share and subscribe my channel guys. So let's go into the topic now. So what is meant by equivalence partitioning? This is also one method where we will use it in the black box testing actually. So this is very important concept while doing the testing process. So how we will do the testing by doing the equivalence partitioning for the given input domains here. So for the input domains of the program into the classes of the data from which test cases can be derived. So based upon the given input domain of my program, I am going to write the minimum number of test cases to do my testing black box testing activity. So test case design for the equivalence partitioning is based upon the equivalence classes. What is these equivalence classes for an input condition? So let's see here. Equivalence classes may be defined according to the following guidelines. They have given these 4 important guidelines for doing the equivalence partitioning guys. Let's see. Suppose if I am going to take any input condition, specifies a range. Okay, now what is this range here? Suppose think that I am having the range of values 1 to 5. Let us assume I am having the values of 1 to 5 is my range of values. So I have to test one valid input value and 2 invalid equivalence classes has to be defined. What is my input value? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Till 5 I can take any valid input condition, and below 1 also I may take the invalid condition like 0, and above 5 also I may take the 1 value here. So this is my valid input value, this is my invalid input value here, right? So like that I have to do my testing based upon the range of values. So if as input condition, suppose if I am going to specify particularly one value here, what I will do? Suppose my value is 8. Think that my value is 8 here. So what I will do, I will test this valid value condition, and as well as I will test again 2 invalid equivalence classes, that means less than 8 and greater than 8. Both these values I have to test again. This is my specific value condition here. Suppose input condition specifies a member of set. Member of set means again within the set I will take one value and I will do the testing here, and I will test one invalid equivalence classes also. Outside the set values also I will consider one invalid value and I will do my testing activity. So that is in case of set values. And if you take any input condition as Boolean values means we know that true value will be there and false values will be there. Then how I will do the testing activity here? One valid values has to be taken and one invalid class has to be taken. These 4 conditions has to be keep in our mind while doing the testing values. So that is called as equivalence partitioning. Next one is equivalence partitioning. See, let us take this particular example, a very good example here. Suppose I am having my text field. My text field will consist of only the numeric characters are there. So what is my condition? What is the primary requirement here means length of my characters must be only 6 to 10. That means only up to this part, this is my valid part here. And what are the invalid parts here? 0 to 5 are the invalid parts and 11 to 14 are my invalid parts here. How I am going to do my partitioning? This is one partition, this is another partition, and this is the another partition. Or each and every partition I am going to consider like equivalence classes. So while evaluating the equivalence partitioning, values in all the partitions must be equivalent. Almost all the values must be equivalent, right? See, then how the testing will be considered here. See, how I will do the testing here. By taking one valid input value, I will do the testing activity, and I will consider one invalid value from, that means less than 6 values. I will consider one invalid value and I will do the testing, and one invalid value greater than 10 also I will take and I will do the testing activity. Total 3 test cases are enough for doing this particular testing activity instead of writing many more test cases here. So here at the time of testing, test 4 and 12 as the invalid values. So why here 4? 4 is an invalid value and 12 is an invalid values. and 7 as the valid one. So why is the 7 is the valid one? By way, because this is in the valid partitioning part. And it is easy to test the input ranges 6 to 10. Within this particular ranges, it is very easy. But if you want to test between the range of 2 to 600, then how to test? So why? Because here the values are very less, so that I can do the testing in a very easiest manner. But if my range of values are more, like 2 to 600, or it can be 1000, or it can be 2000, or it can be in terms of 50,000, then how to write the test cases in such a way? Then I will take only one value and I will do the testing activity. So that is only one test case is enough here for writing and doing the testing activity. So testing will be easy in case of lesser test cases, but you should be very careful here. And assuming the valued input is the 7, that means you believe that a developer, he should be able to do the correct coding within these valid values. Next, one more example they gave, that is how to do the testing activity. That means boundary value analysis, how we are going to do at the extreme ends. What is meant by extreme ends usually? Tell me. Suppose if you take any array, I am having a of 100 is there. How I will do my testing for these extreme values here, extreme ends. So that means I have to test for the 100, below 100 and above 100. Right? I have to check all these cases here. Why? Because my input domain, it is going to cause the errors at the boundaries. More as errors I will get usually at the boundaries itself. So how the BVA will be tested means it is easy. It is used to identify the errors at the boundaries rather than finding those exist in the center of the input domain. So instead of testing the values at the center of the domain, I may be testing at the extreme ends also. Extreme ends means it can be the 0 at the, or it can be the 100. So both the experiments I have to do the testing here. And in the next part of the equivalence partitioning, designing the test cases, where the test cases are, how I am going to write my test cases at the edges of the equivalence classes. I am going to write my test cases here. And BVA, it is the process of testing between the extreme ends or the boundaries between the partitions of the input values here. So that's all, guys. So they have given a few guidelines for the BVA here. So if an input condition specifies a range bounded by the values A and B, suppose A and B are my range of values. So how I may do the testing activity here? Test cases I have to write with the values A, and one test case I have to write with the value B, and just above the values A and just below the values A and B. Both I have to do the testing here. Suppose if I am going to specify any range of values between A and B means. Suppose if I am going to specify any number of values here, any specific values if I am going to test, how I will write the test cases here means, just I will write the test cases with the minimum values, maximum values, just below the values, just below the minimum values and the maximum values. All these values will be tested for a given specific values here. So we need to apply the guidelines 1 and 2 to the output conditions here, and assume a temperature versus pressure table is required as the output for an engineering analysis program here. So for each and everything we need to write the minimum test cases. So don't try to go for writing more number of test cases here. And if an internal program data structures have a pre-prescribed boundaries here, we should suppose if I'm having the 100 entries are there, how to test all these 100 entries? Should I test from one value, two value, three value up to and so on to 100 entries? It is not possible to write that many number of test cases. It will go to the exhaustive testing again. So in such cases, what I will do? I will do the testing at the boundaries. That means what is the highest value, what is the lowest value, what is some specific values within that range, and below the values and the above the values, all I will test. That is enough. These are the few guidelines that which we have to know while doing the boundary value analysis here. And what is that? Another process of testing between the extreme ends or the boundaries between the partitions of the input values. So we know that we should be able to test the starting value, ending value, lower value, upper values, and maximum and the minimum values just inside and just outside the values we are going to test. That is called as the boundary value analysis testing here. So they have given one example like suppose if any username and password is If it is going to accept the minimum 8 characters and maximum 12 characters means I need to test within the range of 8 to 12. That is the valid range. And what is the invalid range? That is less than 8 and greater than 12. These two are the invalid ranges I need to test. So this is one example they have given how to test. Suppose if your password is consisting of 8 to 12 values means how to do the testing and how to write the test cases here. See, this is the first test case I am going to test with the values that is the less than 8. So it should not accept. And the next one is I am going to give exactly 8 characters. It should accept. And I am going to give the values between 9 and 11. 9 and 11 means again it will not accept. And the password of exactly 12 also it will accept. Consider a password more than 12, it will not accept. So how many test cases? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 are enough for to do these testing, right? So that's all for today, guys. I hope you like this video. Please like, share and subscribe my channel, guys. Thank you for watching.